Hello, Supercars in Seconds here with an interesting dilemma, something I get asked about pretty much every single day, is do I buy, let's have a look at them, a pre-owned 720S, this is a 2023 in flux green, or the new, there's a nice silver 750S. These are both spiders. The way you would tell, of course, is looking at the A-pillar, you've got that split there. And then on the back, on the coupe, you've got a solid piece of glass with a little bit of storage behind it. Whereas on the Spider, it still looks like a coupe, I think, of side profile. Cool color. But the when the roof is down, of course, you have the lovely sound of this crazy V8 coming in from the back. I'll show you the differences between the two cars. There's a huge difference, of course, in value of round figures. You're sort of 300k here, over 400k here. So let's see what the difference is, and is it worth saving the money, or is it worth finding the extra bit of cash? Starting up front with the two cars, 720 here, 750 here. This opening was very controversial when the car came out. Some people loved it, some people hated it and so on. But once you start understanding it, that it's an intake and everything is all open, I can put my fingers through there as well. You understand that they're actually using this as a canard that you'd see on the outside, cooling the radiator circuit, the cooling circuit, and forcing a lot of downforce to equal the crazy downforce that rear wing creates. On the new car, they've had to make the splitter stick out further because it has the larger wing from the 765LT on the 750. So to equal that, they've had to create a deeper front splitter. This one's almost level with the nose, this one's sticking out this far. This little eye socket is 1 inch shorter than it is on the 720. You don't really notice it until they're together. It's a little bit narrower, you'll see. Again, speeding up the air that's going in there. The cameras, this one has the 360 camera, you'll notice here. This one was blended in, actually better maybe, into the previous palladium color front splitter there. But let's take a look at the rear of the car where there's really more changes. So looking at the back of 720 here, you see those famous two split exhausts. They will do a system called jetting once the engine's super hot, where it will blow a blue flame out here to burn the air above the diffuser, which pulls the back of the car down at ultra high speed. Pretty amazing stuff. Above 135, the jetting stops because then you have enough aero going under the wing. Now, this is something interesting. There's a difference from 720 to 750. This wing is down. So it's flush here and it's flush here. So from the side, completely disappears. On this car, the wing is down, so it's still flush here. Perfect. However, underneath, it's still a wing. There's still air being forced through there because the higher volume of downforce she has. They wanted to keep some more downforce on that rear end, frankly, for just very, very high speed stability, above 150 miles an hour. This does feel more planted than the previous car. Exhaust, a slightly larger diameter, now shrunk together, and it's a much more bassy sound. The exhausts are almost pointed up on more of an angle, whereas before they were pretty much straight out the back. Down the side of the two cars there, frankly, a very similar look. This panel down here is different. So you'll see down there's a cover to force more air into the cooling circuit, whereas here before it was previously just an opening, just a hole before. The rear of the car was smooth bodywork down here. Now from the 765LT, they've added a little indent again to get more air and turbulent air from in the wheel arch out through that hole to work in conjunction with the big diffuser underneath. An interesting one is the backup camera just here on the 720 is a single camera underneath the bumper there, just by the license plate. On the new car, there's two cameras if you specify the 360 camera system that both of these cars have. One of them is a backup camera, one of them is the 360 computer generating bird's eye view camera. So pretty clever stuff. They've really got amazing attention to detail And paint finish, just amazing, of course, as usual on the McLaren. So far as powertrain, frankly, very similar. A 4-litre twin-turbo 8-cylinder. It's an incredibly powerful turbo system with electric wastegates, so it spins up the turbos incredibly quick. Twin scroll turbos each side as well, so a rather complicated turbo system at very, very high pressure. You have a major fuel pump and a second fuel reserve pump, which pumps gasoline to the other bank to make sure that none of them are either starving. That's on both cars. It's really an amazing machine. The rear wheels are driven only through a 7-speed Italian transmission, and it is really amazing how good these new transmissions are today. Power. The number on a McLaren will be the horsepower, so I have a 720 and a 750. That's the European measurement of horsepower, PS. So actual US statistics would be 710 horsepower, 568 pounds of torque driving the rear wheels. This one, 740 horsepower, 590 pounds of torque. And as you know, McLaren, when you watch videos online of these cars getting tested, they're putting out a bit more than that. Where it's amazing is the weight, under 3,200 pounds as they sit here, and incredible cars. This one's about 45 pounds lighter if you do the racing seats and all the lighter options and so on, but you don't really feel that. What you do feel is the transmission. The gears in this one are shorter, so gears 1, 2, 3, and 4, and the final drive, last gear before the drive shaft, is shorter. So because of that, the in-gear acceleration is simply incredible. So 720 and 750, frankly, one of the better sports cars of the last couple of decades. The performance when these cars came out was just at another zip code from everything else on the market. The convertible tops on the cars are operated, you can do it by the key here in my hand. 11 seconds it operates in, it's electric, so silent, you'll hear that, nothing. Completely quiet. It takes 11 seconds up to 30 miles per hour. I'm going to keep holding the button on the key down, and it'll fold my windows down as well. What I would say, both obviously incredible cars, and they look so similar when they're parked next to each other like this. But when you start pointing out the details we just did, you see that they are actually, the new one's actually 30% new. Isolated car from car. We're going to drive the 750 now, but isolated car from car, do you pick a pre-owned get certified 720 and save some money, or do you get the latest tech? Now that's something that perhaps you have to decide on your own. However, my customers that drive a 750 trade their 720 in most cases. So it's usually special order, and there's not many around yet, but they are coming, and it's just an incredible car. But let's take a look at the interiors and see what the differences are inside. So we're inside 720S. You've got the longer paddles, of course, which are always a nice feature. This steering wheel is super cool. It's very thin that way and rather thick that way, so you can feel it more in your fingers for an extra bit of touch and feel. It's rather nice. One thing 750 doesn't have is this folding display. So I've got a button over here, I can just touch that and it'll raise my display from the side. It's just a beautiful thing. An excellent piece of technology there. Super cool, folding in and out. It's just a nice bit of theatre. If you've got someone in the passenger seat that's never been in one before, that'll scare the heck out of them. It's rather nice. The display here, this controls the dynamics of the car. I've talked about this before, but the top one has a H, so you put, when you start the car, go up and push active, then these light up, and you can take the handling, CST, Comfort Sport Track, or the Powertrain, P, Comfort Sport Track. So this one is, think of it as the engine, this one is the suspension. It's also traction control and gearbox, it's lots of things, but that's an easy way. So suspension, engine. Unique to McLaren really is you can have them separate, so I can have the engine in track and the suspension in comfort. That's rather nice. If you've got a rough back road, that works very well. Sport and sport is rather fun. It's a unique sensation where they turn the cylinders off during the gear change, so you get a little jolt when you change gear when you're in the sport and sport mode. When it's in track, the suspension's over 60% stiffer than it was in comfort. That's a massive adjustment. That would normally require new dampers. On 750S, they've moved these controls up on the side of the binnacle up here. So you got the powertrain on this side and the handling on this side, but I'll show you that now in a moment. Looking around, other than that, it's actually quite similar. The cup holder is here, convertible top controls are there, window on the rear and just behind me, and the convertible top operation there. Again, up to 30 miles an hour, 11 seconds up or down. Little storage here and the cup holder there, 12 volt power further underneath, all continued into 750S. The advantage in the 750S, of course, is down in here you can plug in a cable and stream Apple CarPlay onto the main screen, which is a nice addition. On the doors, you can get speaker grills in silver or black when you do the Bowers & Wilkins audio. Just here, people don't know it, but that's a storage. If I open it down, you can store different things, paperwork, sunglasses, whatever it might be down in there, and you don't even see it when it's closed back up. Here on 720S, the nose lifter is operated just here on this short paddle here. You can see the image of the car on the end. When the vehicle's running, just click that button. It's about 8 seconds up and about 9 seconds down. The new car is improved on that, and I'll show you that now in a minute. One last thing, this is the comfort seat option, which is a very, very comfortable seat. Great lateral support here and here without being intrusive. This one has the manual seat. I actually like that because a taller person, the seat sits an inch lower and goes 2 inches further back. So tall people definitely do fit. But that's the main dash. Let's swap over now and take a look at 750S. So now in 750S, again, similar steering wheel. It's actually the steering wheel that was in the P1, so it had those buttons, if you remember, on the P1, the boost and DRS buttons on the steering wheel. Same thing, we got the black grills. This one's a full leather interior. It's actually blue leather. I don't know if you can see it there, kind of a denim-y blue color, which is rather beautiful. The screen now, as I mentioned, a little bit longer. And I've got an aero button now, as before, to put the wing up on the back of the car. And my big screen in front of me is a dedicated screen now that doesn't move. If you remember, we talked about the modes adjusting here. Still H for handling, click, click, and P for powertrain, click, 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 and so on. Inside that one, I've got a manual button to engage the paddle shifters full time, but you can use the paddle shifters even in automatic just by overriding at any time. In all McLarens, the paddle shifter goes whatever the arrow says by pulling it up, but by pushing it, it will do the opposite, go down the gears. Same over here, that's showing down the gears, by pushing it goes up the gears. Doesn't matter until the wheel's around there, then it does. Other than that, you remember the two buttons, a lot of it's all very, very similar to the previous car. This is what's called a Tech Lux interior. So we have leather and Alcantara mixed on the seat. If you do performance spec, that gets Alcantara here and leather here. It like swaps over. Same on the door. So you get more Alcantara on a performance spec than you get on Tech Lux if you wanted more leather. I actually go back and forth, frankly, between the two of which one I prefer more. We'd mentioned on the lower stalk before the nose lifter. Now there's nothing there. It's still just the cruise control. But over here, I have a new button, which is my dedicated nose lifter button. 4 seconds up, 4 seconds down, even with the wheel slightly turned. Previously, the wheel had to stay straight, which was a bit of a pain sometimes. But it's just little tweaks like that from them listening to the owners and saying, well, keep that, that's great, get rid of that, that's annoying. and they really did. The A-pillar is, of course, visual carbon fiber. You see the larger weave there, the structural weave, and still the same AC controls. What's nice about this little vent here, I've got that one dedicated to me and one for the passenger, but I can take this one and push it across to the passenger as well, because I've got another one over here. So this is going to sound like a silly thing to say, but the air conditioning in a McLaren is really good, it's powerful. They've done a thoughtful job, is what I would say, to describe how to use the car and to get the most out of it. She's so stable with the hydraulic suspension, but I've got the key to a brand new 17-mile McLaren. I think we better take it out down old Batman's corner and have a bit of fun. So we got the engine running for 2025. It's gone to a McLaren orange start button, which is cool. They were always red before that. On my main display in front of me now in this car, I'm in comfort mode for the powertrain. We're in the comfort mode for the handling. So I'm going to click the little paddle up here. We go click, and it goes up to sport. The display changes just a little bit. the speedometer and the rev and the gear selection change place. When I go to track on either side, it'll change it dramatically to where I can get my revs across the top now, large gear change, speed more irrelevant on track. Just, you know, the gears and the revs would be more important. Oil and coolant temperatures and a percentage now of fuel. When I go back to sport, it shows it in actual miles once you start to roll. So it would end up sort of 260 to 300 miles or a percentage depending on what mode you're in. Let's select reverse. I'll click it down here. And then we get our camera up here with the trajectory lines and so on. And then down here you get the 360 camera as well, which is rather nice. Okay, we're going to go down to Batman's corner. We got everything in track. I'm going to open up the little window behind my head here. That'll let some of that big V8 sound pour in. What we're going to experience as we go through this corner is the hydraulic suspension. They've eliminated sway bars and they've connected like that, like a cross. So the front left and the back right are connected, but not front left and front right. So let's go through a corner and you get one wheel moving and the other one not. It keeps the vehicle incredibly flat, but also a byproduct is it makes the car very soft because it's constantly moving separately. It's really a fascinating feel in the car. So we got it in manual mode, track, drive. Here we go. I'm just not going to launch it, it's pretty new, so I'm just going to go. Boy, it almost feels like it leans into the corner. It's so crazy how flat a supercar can stay. Boy, she's powerful. Unbelievable. You get those pops and bangs out of the exhaust. That's a newer thing on 750S, and it's really fun. I'm going to do a full emergency stop here. Let's just try these big 15.5-inch front rotors. Again, I've said it before, when I like brakes that can make you bang your head on the seat. That's a pretty powerful brake. Alright, so I'll close this window behind me again. You notice that I just pushed the left-hand paddle forward to go up a gear while I was doing the top. It's clever stuff. So 750 or 720. 720 is a sweet spot right now as a pre-owned car. I like them certified. Why I like certified over perhaps one that's not in a McLaren dealer, there's plenty of them these days. To certify it, we have to fix anything that's wrong with it. So you're not buying a bag of bolts. They've already gone through the car. It's quite an intense process. The wheel arch liners are out sometimes. I mean, it's a pretty crazy process to certify this car and check it all out. If the tires are at a certain level, they get replaced. If everything is just up to date, the services have to be done and so on, you're not going to buy it and then have to spend a load of money. So I do recommend certified. The sweet spot right now, I think, is 21 or 22 with 5 to 10,000 miles. It's around 250 to 270 and just so much car for that. It's just an incredible deal. If you're after the most pure experience, this is it. 750S is at another zip code. The steering rack is tighter. The wheels are pushed out slightly front and back, so you got a tighter, more wider stance for the wheels to have less pressure on them. The brakes are the same, but they feel stronger. And I'm assuming that's downforce. There's more downforce, so it's about 30% more downforce, so it feels like you're getting more stopping power. But the brakes on either car, frankly, are just crazy. They're really amazing. People are often more impressed by the brakes than they are by the acceleration. It's 750S is state of the art. It really is. They've learned all of the things that they wish they could have done in 720, and they've done it all in this car. There's a lot of the 765 powertrain. This engine revs up very quick, and more importantly, the engine decelerates very quickly as well. Faster than it does in 720, so I don't know if that's internals are lighter, as they would be in a 765 LT. It's comfortable, and that's a big use. This is a bit firmer than a 720S, but that gives it better body control at high speed. We've been lucky to have these things up around 200 miles an hour, and it is so flat and so stable at that speed that you suddenly think This is $410,000. Suddenly it's a bargain. The competitors from Ferrari and Lamborghini, the SF90 and Revuelto, now with the hybrid systems, are great, but it makes them heavy. So on track, they're not as useful. The electric cars, the Teslas and so on, are faster in a straight line anyway, so I'm not worried about the straight line speed. What I'm worried about in a McLaren over its competitors is feel. I've still got the hydraulic rack here on a rougher surface here, and I can feel it all coming through my forearm. It's wild how responsive the car is. The brake feel is just beautiful. Oh, that was a can I just drove. The brake feel is just beautiful. The performance again. Jeez. Hello. It gets like a boat getting up on plane. It just gets up and shoots. It really is an elastic feeling in the acceleration that you never tire of. It's pretty fantastic. Right, nobody around me. Let's wake this thing up through. Feel it through here. It's just addictive. And the sound, I got the windows closed now, but the sound of it, it's angry. It sounds like angry wasps in your backyard. It's an incredible machine, and I love it, as you can probably tell, very, very much. A sweet spot in the marketplace, I think. Now, the world is going a bit hybrid. I'm hoping that legislation might change around the world to allow us to keep these beautiful V8s for a little bit longer. But it is, for now, I think, one of the performance bargains of the century. We'll do one last mode. I've got her in Sport and Sport. You get those cracks on the way up in the transmission in Sport mode. That's because you're turning the spark plug, a cylinder cut basically. You turn the spark plugs off during the gear change. And it is a glorious sound. It jolts the car quite dramatically, it does, yeah. I love it. As soon as you touch the paddle, boom, it's in the next gear and revs up so freely. It's a beautiful engine, it is. Alright, let's go down into our hard right-hander here. Down into third gear, I'm going to leave the speed up. Gosh. Sport's quite exciting because you get that cut in the sound as you change gear. And she'll pop and bang like that. It's really an amazing machine. But let's take it back and I'll give you a summary of the two cars. So I got the car running here, just cooling down. Look at these brakes. I mean, they're just massive. It's a 19-inch wheel, almost fills it. This support here, of course, you can imagine what the air is doing going around that. You can see it just sucks it tight to the body. Really incredible design. This big intake down in there to the radiators you can hear running there. Incredible car. It's the turbine wheel. It's actually a standard wheel now, which is beautiful. It used to be the super lightweight wheel type design on the 720, but now it's a standard wheel. Great sound, very bassy sound out of that big V8. Really fun. It's fun to experience the two cars back to back. 720 you've seen before, but 750 is incredible. The way it pushes on your body is very difficult to describe. It's pretty exhilarating. The way it performs from that third gear higher revs, it pushes on you at an alarming rate, but never any wheel spin, never any tire squeal. Just an incredible car. Whether it's a pre-owned 720 or a new 750, these things are tough to beat. I'll catch up with you again on the next video. Thank you.